The dark truth behind Louis Vuitton's Bernard Arnault wealth. People tend to regard billionaires in two ways, depending on what portion of their lives they're looking at. It's difficult, if not impossible, to gain that much fortune while being a nice man. Perspective is key. So based on their business interactions and the items or services their firms have provided, you can conclude they're smart and business savvy. If you look at how they got there, the people they exploited, and the shortcuts they took, you may believe they're supervillains or not so cool people. These billionaires' dark reality is that they didn't get there by being the best person on the block. There can only be one richest guy in the world, and for a long time that's been Jeff Bezos, but Arnault continues displacing him. According to Forbes, Arnault had a $500 million lead over Bezos in July 2021. He won't remain there, as he's been there before. There's a terrible reality behind his money and the corporation that made him rich. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on our channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing the dark truth behind Louis Vuitton's Bernard Arnault wealth. Yeah, you heard it right, so let's get started with our video. Louis Vuitton burns its overstock. Like any big garment maker, Bernard Arnault's company will never sell every piece they make. What happens to LVMH's success? As noted by Vox, LVMH's Louis Vuitton brand burns it with fire. Burning garments may not appear to be a dark mark, but they may be if viewed correctly. Burberry, H&M, and less valuable companies like Nike, Walmart, and Urban Outfitters do this, but it's still an issue for several reasons. First, it's a health hazard. According to Fuse Inventory, garment burning emits more CO2 than coal, our worst fuel source. According to the NOAA climate webpage, 97% of climate scientists, not YouTubers, believe that people are the major cause of climate change and that carbon dioxide is the principal pollutant. Hence, burning garments harms the environment. Everyone is burning merch, but it isn't right. According to Vox, companies burn clothes to raise prices by creating a false scarcity, which is rude when there are poor people around the world in need of proper clothing. But clothing the impoverished wouldn't help Arnault's wallet. It appears that Bernard Arnault tried to run from France's proposed wealth taxes. Billionaires don't stay billionaires by letting others take their money, and they certainly don't want it taken for infrastructure or social initiatives. Taxes? Get out. Some countries tax the wealthy more than others, and France hasn't been too harsh on them in the past, but it's come close. Bernard Arnault tried to flee. Of course, Arnault denies trying to evade taxes, but the circumstances suggest he did. In 2013, France's socialist president, François Hollande, suggested a 75% tax on earnings over 1 million euros. Arnault then applied for Belgian citizenship. Mr. Trump has also relocated 6.5 billion euros of his company stock to Belgium. Sure, Arnault wasn't evading the wealth tax, but it seemed odd, especially since it wasn't the first time. In 1981, while still heading one of his father's businesses, he moved his entire family to America. Why? According to the publication, he fled from French socialists who wanted to tax the wealthy. Bernard Arnault lied about where his company products were made. You'd expect Bernard Arnault's labels to manufacture their high-end clothing in the nations they claim. In the end, French bags and Italian shoes are only French or Italian if created there. Not. We've already mentioned Dior embroidered its products in India, but that's not all. The Guardian confirmed that Louis Vuitton's fancy Italian shoes are made in Romania despite the Made in Italy stamp on the luscious leather. The Romanian factories were kept hidden for a long time despite speculations. When confronted, Arnault flatly denied them. A French documentary team went to examine the reports but was refused away. The Louis Vuitton head office in Paris also turned the Guardian away, citing international policy. Still, the workers claimed the shoes were made in Romania before being sent to Italy for the soles. Luckily, the Guardian's reporters were persistent and got past the guards to confirm that these expensive Italian heels were part of a global scheme. Dior used cheap labor on another continent. Many of us wish firms wouldn't take advantage of poorer countries' economic difficulties, yet they do. In these regions, the poor are exploited for a fraction of what workers in more developed countries are ready to labor for. We might suppose that the cheapest brands use workers who can barely afford meals to create their products to keep prices low. That's not the case. According to CNBC, Fashion Revolution produced a report in 2018 detailing supply chain transparency amongst significant clothing firms. Some firms scored well for being transparent about their product sourcing, but one did not. LVMH owned Dior. These rates were based on corporations' willingness to share suppliers, worker conditions, and remuneration and policies. Maybe there was a reason Bernard Arnault's band kept their activities quiet. Voila! According to New York Times, Dior used subpar Indian companies to embroider its fabrics. The staff was stitched by hand. There were no emergency exits and the windows were barred, despite signing the 2016 Vuitton Accord to guarantee factory safety in Mumbai and empower Indian embroiderers. Well, that's all for today's video. Tell us in the comments section how today's video was. I hope that you find this video interesting. If you want to see more like this, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to provide us with your valuable feedback. We'll see you in the following video with some more notable celebrities, facts, and stories. And until then, stay tuned.